To order. I guess what we're just looking for is more money for rock. And my thought is we want to have, I mean, I don't know if Taylor said that there's a certain point in time where you can't really add more rock to the road because it ends up in the ditches.
Yeah,
from the
we're
road
to that
graders.
point already, but Martin Marietta addressed to him that he can buy rock
Right.
at a really decent price right now for spring,
Okay,
but you have to let them know.
okay.
So that they'll crush over the winter.
And then just stockpile it somewhere until
Right.
it's ready to be
To get
used.
an extra stockpile.
Okay.
And we've already doubled the budget for this year that we normally budget for rock.
Okay.
And the way the weather patterns are right now, it's looking like we're gonna be worse next year.
Yeah.
So when you doubled the budget for 1920,
He's gonna have to, no, we're gonna have to do a budget amendment from his reserves.
okay, that was my question.
He has spent twice the amount as he has budgeted,
Already.
yes.
Okay, so at the end of June 30th, 2019, secondary roads had a cash balance of just a little short of 2.3 million.
Right.
So, I mean, and like when you say he's already doubled the amount of rock, how much money is that?
He's, what, 2.14 million, I think he
Yeah.
said?
He's already spent?
Yes,
So another $1 million above what he'd kind of planned,
yes.
is what you're thinking?
And that budget amendment's we already know we have to do a budget amendment to get it out of the reserves.
Okay, right.
The problem is if we pull out of those reserves, that money's already ear tagged for other bridge projects and things too. We can't keep doing that.
Right. And so if you take another $1 million out of secondary roads that you weren't planning on, I mean, that lowers his balance, tentative carryover balance, to about 1.2 million if he spends everything else
Right.
at the end of 2020.
Right.
I don't know that we want it.
We have to on that.
I think, you know,
Well, for what he spent this year, but I'm thinking what you meant for next year. If we take.
no, I'm talking the fiscal year we're in right now. At the end of 19, you had 2.3 almost. And so, and you're telling me he's doubled his rock at 2 million, so that's an extra $1 million that wasn't in his budget.
I think he had like 800,000 for his budget.
Okay,
Or
so anyway,
800.
so you're lowering you're taking that other $1 million out of his reserves. So if he collect everything, spent everything for 2020, he would be lowering his fund balance down to about 1.3 million.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, the thing with secondary roads a little bit is that, you know, their main revenue source, of course, is road use tax and then transfers in from general basic and rural services. And of course, there's maximums that you can transfer.
Well, their main source comes from the state.
Right, from road use tax, right. But also from transfers in. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
last year, between general and rural services, you transferred in $1.8 million. So I'm just saying that the problem is there's caps on that. And,
Right.
and whatever road use tax comes in is what it is.
But we can buy rock.
Right, I'm just talking secondary roads right now. So
Right.
the problem is that when you start lowering the reserves in secondary roads, it's hard to build it back up because
Right.
you're kind of capped on your revenue
Exactly.
sources, is
Right.
what I'm saying.
Yep.
Right.
And I think I think part of building it back up is if FEMA comes back in and starts reimbursing us. I have a funny feeling FEMA's not going to reimburse us all in one shot. They're probably going to take a series of years to reimburse us if they do.
So you've already done the paperwork and filed
They're in
for
the process
of
of
doing the
all.
FEMA reimbursement.
Yes,
They're,
them
they're in
and
the weekly meetings
conservation,
now.
both.
And
Okay. Okay, so that would help, and that would go into back into secondary roads to help pay for some of the rock.
yes,
And that's what when they're asking for reimbursement for FEMA, that's what they're asking for.
but you got to spend it to.
Right. No, I understand that. Right. Yep. It's a grant reimbursement. Yep.
And I don't know, somebody tossed out that might not even show up for possibly 3 years.
Well,
With all the
FEMA's
disasters
3 or
going
4.
on.
right, and FEMA,
Yeah.
FEMA does what it does.
So-
Yeah, there's definitely no guarantee.
And last year we ran into this last spring, we ran into the situation, or Taylor did, where he was buying rock or trying to buy rock. Well, then neither of the quarries had
they
the
ran out.
supply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they ran out with everybody else that's getting it too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, this
we
wasn't
would like to
isolated
have
just
a.
Hardin County. I mean, it's a.
So we.
Oh, sure, all the gravel. I mean,
So
I
everybody-
drove down one the other
Right.
night. It was terrible. I mean, it was muddy and you could hardly get through
In
it.
Grundy County?
So
they
actually,
have
this was
the
Marshall County's road,
So they all
but
have
same
the
thing.
problem.
Right, they all do. I mean, everybody's got. I live on a gravel road. I
Yeah.
know. It
Oh,
is.
all right.
It's,
So
yes,
part
I do.
of a plan. Everybody wants to know what our plan is.
Thank you.
Right.
Rebecca.
Part of a plan is this is part of a plan. This is a plan to help rebuild the base.
Right.
and then we'll go ahead and continue doing the roadstone.
Right.
But we have to get ahead of it. If you're not going to get ahead of it, we just lost everything we lost this year.
Right, right. So for 2019-20, you budgeted to transfer $1 million out of general basic into capital projects. That was you budgeted that.
Yes.
Well, which is normal. I mean, that's what we normally.
Right,
And,
right.
And with that funding, we were going to use that to pay off the jail, or the HVAC.
Right, exactly. But
We have a loan on the HVAC.
right, but the problem is that you can't pay the HVAC out of capital projects.
No.
It's got to
So
be
it has
paid
to
out
be
of.
transferred to the general, yep.
Well, you just won't make that transfer. See, you were transferring
Right.
money to capital projects
Yeah, from the general fund.
from the general fund.
Yes.
Well, you're just not going to make that transfer. You're going to leave that money in general basic because you have to pay the loan out of general basic.
Right.
Okay, it can't get paid out of capital
Yep.
projects. So I guess, I think your intent when you took the loan out was to pay it off in a year if you could. I guess now it becomes a matter of, do you switch those resources and use them to buy rock instead of,
Yeah.
And that's the question.
Yep.
I mean, that's,
And what's the possibility? How can you do it? What are the procedures to do it? Is that what the board wants to do?
right. I mean,
we have to look at multiple options, I think.
right. I mean, I think the one thing that you look at is paying rock out of general basic. General basic is kind of the general operations of the county. I mean, it's pretty much everything that doesn't
Right.
get specifically paid out of something else. So if you take it and pay for rock, that's typically a rural
Yeah, expenditure.
expenditure. It's perception of
Yeah.
that's kind of general property tax dollars and where it's going. It's not that you can. I mean, this is definitely probably an emergency, and maybe it's something that you look at down the road. If you get the FEMA money, maybe you reimburse general basic fund first before it goes back into secondary roads.
Which we could do that too.
You know what I'm saying? If you end up having to pay the rock out of general basic to get it and to do that kind of stuff, maybe it's something that you look at doing. And the other thing you can do is you can do general fund, you can do loans between funds. So you could do a loan from general basic
True.
to secondary roads,
Okay.
pay the rock out of secondary roads, and set it up such that if the FEMA money if it comes in, you can pay back the loan back to general basic.
Okay.
I mean, so those are some options that are sitting out there that and you can buy the rock out of general basic. There's nothing that says you can't.
So if you do the loan,
Yep.
how do you pay back that loan? You just have to budget less
It's a it's
to transfer.
Yep.
Budget
Yep.
less the next
Yep.
year to
Yep.
transfer to
Yep.
secondary
Yep.
roads and consider
Yep.
that the
Can you
payback.
do that, being the fact we've already taken the cap for secondary roads?
What do you mean?
Can you give them more? Can you give the money to secondary
You're
roads?
you're loaning it. You're not giving it to them. It's not transferring it permanently. It's
Okay.
just a loan. So
Okay.
it doesn't fall into the minimum and maximum transfers, normal operating
all right.
transfer computation. It's
Okay.
just a loan.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So, I mean, that's an option that's sitting out there. And like you said, either, depending on how road use tax money comes in, depending on if FEMA money comes in, right, you could lower the amount that you transfer back and consider that repayment of the loan.
But in a way, you're still shorting them
Yeah, I'm not,
money.
I'm just saying, I mean,
for what they're going to need for bridges
It's the
and
concept
everything
is
else.
what you're
Yeah.
after.
right, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that I'm just giving you some ideas that those are possibilities. And like I said, if the FEMA money comes in,
Then,
it's always a possibility that you could use that to pay back the general fund.
okay.
Right.
So, there's just options out there. The problem is right now there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, is FEMA money good?
A lot of it's nature. A lot of it is, you're right. What's FEMA going to do?
Right, what's FEMA going to do? Are they going to pay it back? Are they not going to pay it back? It's just those are options that are sitting out there.
But regardless, we need to get our roads up.
Right. And I guess down the road is I think what you told me, Lance, is that you do have the loan structured for like a 5-year payout?
It's structured for it's a line of credit, 5 years set at a
Okay.
certain percent interest.
Okay.
And then after those years, it's 20-year loan, isn't it? I think it was 20 years, but
Okay.
then it's 3% over prime, if I remember
Okay,
right.
so you kind of have a fixed rate for the first 5 years.
Yes.
So I'm sure in a perfect world that would be where you would hope you could get it paid back from.
Right.
Well,
in the
and
5 years.
I don't know that I'd want to put that out 20 years, but
No, I haven't.
No.
I mean, our original intention was to have it paid off
paid
this year.
off. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, so if you make the election to use some of that money that you were going to use to pay off the loan to purchase rock, whether you loan it to secondary roads, whether you pay for it out of general, however, you structure it, I mean, this doesn't seem like that's a problem to extend it out even for 5 years if you spread it out, you know.
Yeah.
What was the total amount you ended up borrowing?
I don't
I
have
don't
that off
know.
the top of my head.
No, I don't
Okay.
know yet.
Okay.
Don't
I
have
don't
that
recall.
right now.
Okay. Okay, well, so anyway, so I mean, you know,
I mean,
no, it's okay.
it's not even split out in here, so.
Okay, all right,
Because we paid a lot of it off last year just with that carryover we had from the jail.
okay. Right, and there's
Yeah,
other,
we were just paying for it as we went for a while.
right, so it ended up maybe not being as much as what you thought. So, right, so those are options that are sitting out there. So I think it just comes down to how you guys want to structure, you know, getting the rock. How much additional rock does Taylor think he needs?
I'm going to tell you $1 million isn't enough.
Okay,
That's, I mean, if
I mean,
we
because
go
we
into this
spent more
thing,
than that this year, and if it's
It-
going to be the same next year.
I mean, we're in the same weather patterns we were, and it's too late to build any roads back up right now.
right, with snow coming and no use putting it all on there so they can scrape
Push
it
it
all
back
off,
off.
right?
In terms of tons, how many tons is he looking at pre-purchasing, so it's ready for next year?
Oh, it would be a pile, and the pile would be, this is anything and above everything, so I don't have the total dollar amount of the tons.
I don't know that he's even mentioned.
He hasn't even requested a tonnage. It's what can we get to buy? I mean, right now it was I think it's 800,000 for this current year that he has budgeted for rock,
Okay,
if I recall, and I can't give you a dollar amount because it changes with the price of,
I just
or a
wondered
tonnage
Yeah.
because
before
the
you said
price
that, well,
changes.
We can't guarantee more than X amount of tons. I mean, did they cap how much they could produce?
They may,
I don't remember that it was on
but
there.
right now they don't have a cap.
Thing.
Okay.
That's why
Their,
we're trying to plan for spring, so they got all winter to crush and pile.
Mhm.
So if we say we want 100,000 ton, they would know to make 100,000 ton for us.
I would see
I mean,
next
there's
year
requirements,
limiting what
contracts,
they,
and there's,
let you
output
get.
contracts. Are they gonna take everything they could produce?
Yeah, they will work their
Up to a certain
schedule.
amount?
Yeah, they'll work their schedule as to what they know that we will pay for. Because they don't want to have twice the pile sitting
Right.
there if it's not sold either.
Right.
Where are you buying this rock from?
Right on this one, they were, Martin Marietta approached them with a low price for rock.
Okay.
but I think he's been buying from
He'll-
both
Yeah, he'll go
this
from
year.
either or.
From
Which one's the
here
most
in
cost
Gifford.
effective?
But are we getting a good grade of rock, so when we rock that we're actually?
They have to meet DOT standards, yes. There's two, you can go to the rock pile out there in Gifford, there's two different rock piles you can go to. One's the one that we get from, another one is a softer rock. Most people buy the softer rock for their driveway, it's cheaper.
But I know when you get from Gifford and you put on 290th Street, that's a heavy traveled road. And when you put the rock from Gifford on there, in 3 weeks, you're back to what you might call your surface road.
well, I think that's pretty much
Double O
everywhere for a
Avenue,
while.
Double O Avenue, H Avenue are in the same boat.
Yep.
Martin Marietta rock.
But if you get the good, sometimes you get what you pay for. If you get the good
They have
quality
to,
rock,
they have to meet a certain qualification.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have to decide,
Plus, it has to do with the size of the rock that you buy too, and I know he's been buying,
yeah, this is 2-inch ballast
Bigger.
that we're looking at,
right,
which is sub-base, not.
yep.
not
Because
your finished
he
rock.
knows it's gonna go down. I mean, it's gonna go down and build the road back up from kind of the bottom up, so, yeah, that, I mean, and it's gonna go
I mean,
down like that. I
Pauline,
know what
can-
you're
I
saying
can
though
sit
too.
here, I agree with what you're saying.
Yep,
I totally agree with what you're saying, but I can't give you scenarios because every sentence can change the scenario. 10 cents can change every scenario on every rock. Which one's the better deal? You gotta wait till you see what you get, to what they're offering to what you're paying. And I don't have either one of those in front of me to answer your question.
because I mean, he doesn't want all the fines and
Yeah,
stuff
we
in
don't-
it
we don't want
too,
the junk.
so, right,
We don't want the soft rock, we wanna
Right.
get the best for the money.
yeah.
Is that the best answer I can give you? I'm agreeing with you that yes, you can get lower quality rock, and is it worth it? Maybe not. But it might be just because the haul costs that much more to get it there, so you can put more down. they have to weigh everything out. That's the best answer I can give you on that one.
So, and most of this you just think is attributable to the weather, just the wet springs and the wet falls and or just years of maybe not redoing it, or?
I believe it's a multiple of things, but yes, the weather is a major issue, and it's going to be a major issue next year.
When you
I
say next
think-
year, are you talking spring?
Yes.
Okay.
And so yes, this fiscal year.
Okay, yeah, you're talking this fiscal year, but you're talking spring.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when we said the 2.14 million, I think he was talking calendar year, but I'm not positive on that.
Okay. All right.
So, I mean, we're in two different conversations. I don't think he
Could be.
spent 2.14 million in this fiscal year.
Okay.
So it's just
already.
See, he doesn't buy his rock till next spring for this fiscal year. So what did he spend from July till now? It hasn't been $2 million.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no, no,
Okay.
no.
So this ending
No,
fund
no.
balance that's sitting at 2.2 million, it's probably only reflecting just. I mean, when you say the.
Most of it's
1.
probably from the spring.
Okay. All right. So he probably hasn't spent that much yet this year. Well, it's probably on your sheet.
No,
there.
I can't answer that. He would have
If
to.
you can find secondary roads, there 20 fund 20.
I don't know which year he spent the money in.
Yeah. Okay.
But, so yes, I was talking calendar years, or I'm pretty sure he was talking calendar year on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't.
The problem is
That
that when
makes
you budget
sense.
on the fiscal and you're talking calendar, it's
Exactly.
hard to put the numbers. You need to put those
But-
numbers in the right
But yes,
Yep.
context as far as.
I believe he has 800,000 budgeted for next spring to get a rock pile put up.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get an additional $1 million for 2-inch ballast
Okay.
so that we have a sub base to put that
Right.
roadstone
Right. Right.
on, or
You're
base.
thinking that that's a conservative number?
I think it's low, but it's a number. I mean,
Yeah,
is it
conservative.
even achievable?
Kind of a minimal.
Yeah. I mean, if I gotta go 500,000, I
Okay.
go 500,000. But what is achievable without going crazy on it?
I don't know where.
Well, is it something that you look at maybe, even though knowing that you need the additional $1 million, that maybe you order 500,000 or 750,000 this fall to start stockpiling and maybe hold off on?
You won't get the price. And,
Well-
they'll run out of rock. They'll run out of production.
Okay. Well, I mean, so then
Which is what we ran into this year. Exactly
Right.
what you're.
Okay. I was just thinking maybe if you didn't want to spend all the money up front, that
Well,
maybe.
I don't think you have to pay for it until you get the pile.
Okay.
But we got to be able to know we can do it.
Right. So they're not gonna want anything up front as far as.
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, would that'd be granular materials?
Yes. Probably.
Fiscal activity, $876,550.
So that's what he spent already on rock this year.
Yeah, which is nothing that he normally budgets for rock so
Yes.
far.
Period ending September 30th.
And what's his budget in that line item, Renee?
I don't know, he puts it all in roads, 2.457
Okay, yeah.
million.
That's total.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was thinking it was eight or 900,000.
And he has 39% of that remaining.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So he's already spent down that. I mean,
Which,
we're
which
3
we
months.
know we have a budget amendment.
Right. No.
Yeah.
But we're 3 months into the year, and
Yeah.
you only have 39% of that line item left.
Right.
So nothing
Yep.
for next year,
Right. Yeah.
next spring.
Next spring. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you guys what to do. I mean, those are just the options of what you can do if you choose to do that. I mean, I don't think carrying out the loan for 5 years is a huge deal. I think you've got that structured. I don't think the interest is going to be that big a deal. So I mean, I think if you need the funds to do that, and you budget conservatively, typically your carryover balances are, way more than what you are budgeting.
Yeah, did you say you had that for us?
Yeah, I have your carryover balances right here. So,
That would help also.
I mean, general fund carryover balance at June 30th, your cash is $3,614,752. So, 3.6 million. And I think, which I think is about 500,000 more than what your budget was, because your budget was 3.1 million. So, I mean, so you increased it 500,000 more than what you'd, had budgeted for. So, I mean, I think, and that's pretty typical. I mean,
Right.
typically not everything gets spent, and, you increase that. And then, and you do, the jail bond is paid for, so you do have, the
Right.
revenue. I've got that. Hold on just a second.
Did you have rural services too?
Yeah, I have rural services. I'll tell you what it is. Let me just give you another number here. This year, the jail took in $1.8 million in prisoner care. So, I mean, that's, so rural services at the end of the year had 710,674.
710,
74, which was up about 20,000 from the beginning balance. So it's not, jumping up real quick. And then secondary roads had $2,272,193. $2,272,193.
That was what fund?
Secondary roads.
Secondary
Secondary
roads.
roads.
Yep.
Do you have what we budgeted for rural services, or is that the remainder?
That's your rural services carryover you budgeted for was 639, so you're up a lot on that, and your budgeted carryover for secondary roads in the for the beginning of this year was 2 million, right at 2 million. So you're about 272,000 above that.
Okay.
So I mean, you're like I said, your budget carryovers always increase. So I mean so you've got that too to kind of work with. And I mean, as far as I know, I don't see the jail revenue going down. I don't think.
I can see a little bit this year. They did a lot of work over there, so they were closing cells at a time.
So there was some empty spaces.
Yes.
Yeah.
For a
Okay.
period of time while they were redoing.
Yeah, I know they
floors.
painted and put new
Yeah.
cameras in and
the floors.
Floors.
yeah, painted the floors. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So I mean, so yeah. But even so, I mean, it's a significant amount of money, and you're not, it's not being all used for the sheriff's office operations, and you don't have the bond to pay off anymore. So there's some, extra float money there probably.
Well, there will be in next year's budget, but I mean, this year's, like you said.
Right. I think you
It's
were
gonna be
planning on
down.
using it to pay out the note. But again, it just becomes a matter of paying off the note or buying rock.
Yep.
And like I said, the loan's always an option.
I don't like that idea as well, because then you're giving them less money
Yeah.
to pay that back.
Well, I mean,
know,
and they can pay
the
it back
next
out of
year's.
other things. I mean, you can still transfer the amount that you normally transfer, and just when they get the FEMA money or whatever, they can pay it back out of that as well. I mean, there's no. The state gives you a lot of leeway in loaning money between funds. You don't have to. You're not required to charge interest. In a perfect world, you get it paid back in a year. But if not, you can carry it over.
I just see that, that there's not going to be. It's going to take years to get the roads built back.
Well, I guess
to what they
that was
were.
exactly going to be my next
It's,
question. I guess,
you know,
okay, so
it's not gonna happen in
You have this quick
2
fix this
years.
year. You take the $1 million, you spend it, you buy the
Right.
rock. Where's the money going to come from next year?
Exactly.
And where's the money going to come from the next year?
Then that's where I think it still needs to be budgeted.
Well, you can budget for it,
Yes.
but if there's no money,
Right.
I
know
mean, you
what you're saying.
can't continue to eat away at your reserves,
Right.
With the rock either.
Wait, what I'm saying is you can budget to buy a 100-ton rock or whatever and give to secondary roads, correct? We can buy rock,
Yeah.
but
but-
also we did that loss funds too. That would help. Where they're getting another, $250,000.
Can we, of course, this won't happen until next year too. Well, we'll be doing budgets here shortly, but we can just levy more in rural services to
Buy
just
rock.
buy rock.
Yep.
I mean, we can't,
Yep, you can do that.
because we're not close to our.
Oh, no, max
maximum
on levy. No. So, yes, that's an option as well. Yep.
I mean, that's an increase in taxes is
Right.
the only thing.
Yep. But that's an option. And I guess not that it makes a huge difference, but you're probably taxing the people who are using the roads.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, again, it won't happen until next
And
year's
also
budget.
the problem with that is now with this budget limitation, we, you know,
I mean, that's gonna
thank
be
you,
huge.
legislature.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a limit as far as how much we can increase our budget.
Am I right to
well,
say that they put a 3%?
It can be more than that. It can be more than the 2%, but
Can it be more than the 3?
if it's over if it's over 102% of what this current year's budget is, you'd have to hold a public hearing.
If we lose
And-
valuation, that's pretty easy to get to.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And I think he was projecting about a 29% decrease in rural property? Which is, in turn, is going to put a pretty big ding on secondary roads also.
Right.
Right.
Right, because then when you get the maximum transfer, it's going to be
Goes down.
limited
Gonna be
to.
less.
Yep.
But
Yep.
then I thought he said something, they were changing the rollback too, so the rollback wouldn't be as high.
And that could be too.
To-
I haven't
to
seen any of
offset
the
the
final
two.
numbers. Yeah.
So you know about as much as I know now.
Yep.
Okay.
So, I mean, I mean, how it's all going to actually filter out when it's all said and done,
That 3% hard cap, you cannot go over
I
that.
don't think so,
That's
no.
what I thought. That's how I
Yep.
interpreted it.
That's what I've read. I would agree with you. I haven't seen anything that's going to say that you can, but
Yeah, you can go from 2 to 3, but that hard cap is a hard cap, and that's max.
So I mean, it's going to put a burden on
Yeah,
us.
so I'm not seeing where there's going to be
Anything.
a big possibility of buying, of levying more in rural services and buying rock.
Right.
I just don't see that happening.
Unless you bond for it and then turn around and go through debt service that way, correct?
Yep. You can
Which
do that.
is the stupidest thing they could possibly do, but that's what they're forcing you to do.
Which
Yeah.
also will
But we can,
increase
we can,
taxes.
You can do that.
but we can change debt services.
Yep.
Yeah, debt service,
So they're making
there's
us
no
borrow.
limit.
No, there's
instead
no
of
limit.
tax.
You can't. They can't limit you on debt
Right.
service because I mean,
Right.
you wouldn't be able to do anything if you didn't have.
Exactly.
I mean, like right now, if you hardly have any debt, what are you going to do? I mean,
It just affects general basic and general supplemental and rural
service.
basic and
Yeah,
rural
services.
supplemental.
Yeah.
The
Basically, you're
limitation.
for levied.
Yeah.
I mean, it won't affect mental health, won't affect debt service, but the ones that you basically run the county on. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what they were trying to achieve by that. I mean, really, it's like,
The theory I heard were towns were over levying what they were supposed to, and they wanted to put a control on the cities. So
So-
they just put a control on everybody.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
And you know what I've learned? There are counties that levy more than the 3.5 into the general fund.
Yeah, you can have special levies. The attached Marshall County does that.
Well, I understood it's like they might just levy 4% in their general fund.
But you have to.
Legally.
There's procedures that you have to do that.
Yeah.
And there's reasons, and there has to be reasons that are listed in the code for what those additional levies are for.
And now you can't do that anymore.
So there were
Interesting.
counties that were doing it too. It wasn't just cities.
Yep.
No, it's county. I mean, like I said, Marshall County did that for several years.
I just told you. Theory I heard.
See, I don't
Yeah.
think that would fly in our county.
Well, and that's it. Every county's different, and
We've had our budget appealed once already. I mean,
yeah.
but I also think this is an exceptional year. Next year will probably be an exceptional year because of the weather and
Well,
Well,
the
I guess this is what
And
I'm
then
saying.
I think if the FEMA starts rolling in, then now you're back on top of it. But what are you going to do until then?
And what are you going to do if FEMA decides not to?
Either way, you're in trouble if
Right.
they don't.
Yeah.
Right.
But if FEMA does start contributing, it could be a 10-year deal, not a one sum.
Oh yeah, they're not going to pay everybody out at the
I mean,
same
it
time.
could be however they want to do it. They could talk you from, what was it, 70, 85% down to 10%,
Right.
but you still got to spend the money.
Do you know if the state's matching?
I have no clue.
Okay. Because lots of
haven't
times,
heard
especially in
that.
disasters, lots of times on some of the Marshall
But
County
how's
ones,
the state going to match? They could do it for one county, but they have enough of their own issues. They're
in Tama, both, FEMA did 90% with a 10% match, and the counties paid nothing. So, I mean, there's different,
But
different,
those are targeted counties, not the
Yes.
entire state.
right.
Yeah, I don't think they could do that over the entire state.
No, and the FEMA money you're talking is through, I mean, just through the entire state. It's not just specifically you've applied because of weather situations.
Right.
Okay.
Along with everybody. Well, yeah, we applied because of the weather,
Right.
but
But
so
along
did
with everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like the tornado or something like that
Right.
where it was
Right.
very specific. Okay. All right. Yeah. The problem is there's just a lot of unknowns out there. I mean, like you said, you don't know what the weather's going to be like. You don't know what valuations are going to do. You
Right.
don't know. I mean, it's
But I do know that the roads are not up the way they should be currently, and they cannot get up the way they should be. We didn't get them all done, and we can't. Now,
Well-
hopefully, what we did do will maintain through next year, so it gives us a chance to do the rest of them.
I'm not going to hold my breath.
But the way these weather patterns are,
Right.
you just don't know.
right. Well, and then if you have a really bad winter and you're out there scraping off, and you know,
Right.
I mean,
There goes the rock in the ditch.
yep. So I mean, yeah, it's not only wet springs and wet falls; it's
Right.
the winters too.
Yep.
So I mean, it all
And
affects.
at some point, something's going to give. Either we got to spend more to get the rock on the road, or do we go down to only taking care of farm to market roads?
Make everybody else Class B.
If you don't have the money, how are you going to do it?
Right. Right. Yeah, I understand.
I mean, it's not an option.
Right. Right. So I think you just have to make the best decision you can with the information that you have right now as far as what you can do this fall. And then, you know, I guess, you know, when you start doing budgets, look at what valuations are doing, and look at, you know, possibly if you can at least raise rural services some to possibly, you know, get
Yeah.
some additional financing there. I know it's an allocation of money of where it's needed the most, you
Yep.
know, and
But I mean, and what
that's
we're
my question on the HVAC. Do we try to pay it all off in 1 year, or
I just don't
can
know
we
why.
utilize-
I mean,
we
what is
don't-
what is the need to do that?
there isn't, except we had the money to do it.
Right,
and
but
you're
I
not
think
paying the extra interest. or
right. I guess
whatever.
you have to weigh the amount of interest that you're paying. I don't think it's probably that large. That
And there's nobody mandating us to pay it off in 1 year.
right,
Right.
right. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we have till the end of the loan, but I'd
Right.
like
I
to get
guess
paid
you know.
off
I
in
would
the
guess
first
your goal
5.
would be 5. Right.
Yes. Yeah,
Right. Right.
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, maybe look at that, and then
Mm-hmm.
you know what you've got left to.
I mean, we can budget for buying more rock at rural services starting next July. But it's just the spring.
But we're missing.
Right.
We're,
right.
missing
we're
the
missing the
spring.
biggest
You're
part
missing
of
the
the year.
biggest. Right. I understand. Yep. I understand.
So that's
Yeah, we're just trailing 18 months. So if there's a
So-
need to find money now, that's why we're here.
Right, right. Well, and like I said, I think the money's there. And like I said, you've budgeted to move $1 million out of general basic into capital projects. So, I mean, you've got that $1 million already into your budget. It's just a matter of now what you spend it on, whether you, pay off the loan with it or you pay rock with it.
Or do both. Pay a little bit on both
Right. Or do some of both. Right.
and look for money elsewhere.
Yeah, if there's. Right, but doing that isn't going to affect your carryover balance in general basic because you've already budgeted for that. So, I mean, your projected budgeted carryover at the end of 20 in general basic was 1.3 million. So, I mean, which is a significant decrease, but that included that
Yeah.
$1 million of moving. So you've eaten into that quite a bit.
What was that again?
Your ending projected fund balance in general basic on your budget for 2020 is 1.3 million.
Okay.
and this year.
And this
we
year your
ended with
beginning
3.6.
was right, and your beginning projected fund balance on your budget was 3.1. So yeah, so you lowered almost $2 million.
Bad year to do that, wasn't it?
I don't know if there's ever a good year, is there? So I mean, you've eaten into your reserves, quite a bit. I mean, your budgeted expenditures out of general basic are almost 7.9 million a year. That's what you spend out of general basic. So I mean, that's not a huge carryover.
No, it's not.
The other part that scares me is on the general basic, that 3% cap again, if the rural services is 65% of your general basic, you're killing them both with that cap.
Yeah, I mean, you pay out between expenditures and transfers to secondary roads about 2.6 million out of rural services.
No, what I'm talking about is general basic
Right.
is 65% of the rural people
Right.
also.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Right. So you're taking out of both.
Yeah.
Right. I know. Yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes. So I mean, I think it's just a discussion that you have to have, and you know what your priorities are going to be, and like I said, make the best decision that you can with the information you have. And
One of the things we've talked about was moving like the FICA, IPERS, insurance and stuff that's in the secondary roads budget.
into general supplemental.
Into supplemental.
You can do that.
But what's that going to do to our, that's not going to affect the transfer. You're still limited
No.
by your, yeah.
You're limited by your property tax collections on the transfer.
And does that really make sense when we're not at the rural service max levy anyway?
But
Well,
you're
but it's
at
not
the
rural
K-
services. It's
Secondary
not,
roads
right.
max.
It's
Yeah,
right. It's
yeah,
secondary
yeah,
roads,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
And you can always, I mean, again, you can increase your general supplemental levy. Again, more tax dollars.
But that's,
General supplemental, that's capped
But
at
that's-
3% also.
Well, it will be
limited.
capped at 3%, but
Yeah.
but I mean, you can, if you move that, you know, it's probably not going to be 3% of your budget. So I mean, you can probably increase that levy to cover that.
Well, I just think the valuation's going to be that much lower to
Well,
get the same
yeah,
dollar.
I don't
that
know without seeing the
there's a-
valuations. Yeah,
I'm just going off what Don
is saying.
is saying. So if you're losing 30% of rural services and 65% of 30% of the rural services, top rate on the same dollars, you're above 3% right there.
Right.
I mean,
Just trying to
you can't even operate on what we
maintain.
have,
yeah.
Right.
Just trying to
Right.
maintain what we have.
and
let alone-
that's their hard cap. So outside of going into debt, there's no other way to do it. With the valuation decrease, the hard cap on the same year,
So the valuations on the rural services, what's the valuations looking like just in total on like total county property?
I can't tell you the dollar
Okay.
amount. You just told me a percentage.
Okay. And that's across the board, not just in rural services,
Rural services.
just rural services. But I'm talking like for general fund levy, general supplemental levy, that valuation, we don't know.
No, but if 65% of general is rural services, wouldn't that make sense at 65% of the cut?
Probably, yes. I mean, yeah, it does. I mean,
So it's going down.
it's just hard to know because
Yeah.
there's so many other types of properties and cities and stuff. So it's hard to know what they're doing with rollbacks and all that stuff. I don't know.
And that was the other
Yeah.
thing he threw back. The rollback was supposed
Right.
to offset it. So, it's
So
all
I
the
mean,
same.
and so it could.
Yeah.
You know.
So it may not be an issue. It just
Right.
we're at the mercy.
But
of them.
moving FICA, IPERS, and health insurance for secondary roads into general supplemental gives you, it takes an expense out of secondary roads where it's hard to generate revenue, where you can, I mean, granted based on the budget limits, but still generate more revenue in general supplemental. You know, through tax levies. Again, you're raising taxes, but it's an option. And maybe it's just something that you have to think about when you look at the valuations. When you get the final valuation numbers, when you're saying the budget
Yeah.
for 2021, you know, it may just be something that you have to wait till you get those numbers to see if it's even feasible to do it.
Right. And it may not be.
And it may not
Right,
be,
right.
you know. You may be capped and you may not be able to, but it could be an option.
It's an option to look at until we know what the numbers are.
Right,
Right.
Yep.
right.
But in this fiscal year, it's an option that we can find the money to help supply.
Like you said, that $1 million is sitting there. It's just a matter of how you want to spend it.
And a loan makes the most sense because if we loan it,
I don't,
then we can always go into debt services for rock if we had to and pay back the loan, which again is the HVAC. Correct?
Yeah, you can do that. No, you can't.
Okay.
You can't because that loan for HVAC's got to come out of general
General
fund.
fund.
The general fund loaned $1 million that two secondary roads can now go into debt services for rock, right? And part of that money, now we have money to
I see what you're saying.
pay back the general
you could
fund
probably
that $1
do
million.
that. Yeah, I need to see about levying for debt service for internal loans, because that's basically what you'd be doing.
Well, no.
Yeah, you would.
No, the way I'm saying it is, what I'm saying is, instead of them having to buy the rock, we buy rock through debt services. Now they have their fund there that they can pay back that $1 million loan with, and we're just purchasing rock through rural services. Or debt service, we buy $1 million worth of rock.
Oh, so you're just going to go out for debt and buy rock.
Well, I don't know, I'm just giving you options.
Oh, well, yeah, you can just do that.
And then the secondary roads doesn't have to spend as much money, and then they can afford to pay the $1 million back that we're after this year
Right.
through debt services.
The thing that you have to remember, just in my years of doing this, it's really never a good idea to borrow money to operate.
Yeah, I know, but the
that's
state's forcing us to.
Really what you're doing.
The state's forcing us to.
You are borrowing I know. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it becomes,
Oh, I don't want to either.
I mean, to
Yeah.
borrow money to actually function and operate the county is
But
you're walking that fine line of,
but the,
I
the
just hate
system
to
they
add-
built,
Yeah, I mean, I fully understand what you're saying, and that is true. That's
Because
what
we
the
can't
state's
levy for
forcing
it.
us to
I
do.
know, I
we
understand.
can't levy for it. They put a cap on that. So if the only thing you can do to operate is borrow money through debt services, you can levy for that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can pay, you can pay it off in 1 year if you wanted,
Well, you could. Yeah.
and operate that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's all options. I mean,
I just hate using fund balance to buy rock, because with the budget limitation,
it's
we're
going to be
gonna
hard.
need
It's
that
going to be hard
for
to build up that
budgeting.
carryover.
We're going to need that for budgeting to keep us under, what we have to levy for, or to, keep our levies down. And so if you're borrowing from the debt service fund, through the debt service fund, and you're paying back,
I guess what I'm probably seriously
just-
thinking about doing is, is probably paying less on the loan this year, using the extra money that you've already budgeted to go to capital projects to probably buy the rock, and then just see where you're at.
That was there right away.
Yeah, that I know. But that debt service, going out for debt service is always an option if it becomes a crisis and you have no other choice.
I'm looking at the
Yeah.
following year.
Yeah, right. And you'll have a better handle on what kind of spring you have and how much of the roads they get done, and see what the valuations are, see what you can do for, levy rates and, that kind of stuff. And
but the thing is we're budgeting for that next year in the next couple months.
I know.
And that's why we're talking about it. So
Right, but I'm just saying for right now, use the $1 million that you used to pay off the loan to buy the rock. Pay off what you can for the loan. You've got 5 years to do that.
Yeah.
And just see where you're at when you start doing the 2021 budget.
Yeah.
You could do any of those things. I guess right now there's just, when you're sitting here making this decision right today, there's so many unknowns sitting out there
Yeah.
that,
Well, I'm sitting here going through my head and just,
Right.
there's just different options, but
it's hard to make a 2-year plan when you have 10 unknowns that you have really
Exactly.
no idea what's going to happen.
nope.
Yep.
Not only the valuations, the weather, the everything. So it's like it's not like you can like you do your 5-year capital projects plan. You say, okay, yep, we know we're going to need to do this.
But you
and
can
this.
do multiple plans.
Right, you have multiple options, correct.
And the options are what we're talking about
Right.
now, and we have
Right.
multiple options right now that we
You
can
have
do.
multiple options, yep. So I think it's just a matter of the three of you just need to sit down and decide what you think is going to be the best option. I wish I had a miracle answer for you, and it's just, yeah.
I didn't have anything else.
I don't either.
We just got to figure out what we want to do, and Daryl, you'll get involved, right?
So how much did we actually borrow then to
I-
spend all on this?
On the HVAC, I don't have that number off the top of my head. I said that earlier. I don't remember what the number was. It's in the auditor's office.
You've got to have a,
Well,
a roundabout number.
1.2 million, and I can guess. I don't know, Pauline,
Yeah.
I don't remember
Oh, no,
that
it's
number.
paperwork. But I mean, you gotta have some.
I just told you a number, I don't know if it's accurate though.
Because, I mean, what, we know what the, I mean.
I don't remember
what
if it was
started-
the full 1.8 million or 1.2 million, I don't recall, I
I
don't
think
remember.
we were allowed to go 1.8, but we also paid for part of it as we were going. So I don't know how much of that was actually paid for, I think.
And then it was a line of credit,
Yeah.
it's set up as a line of credit, so how much did we use of the line of credit? That's the number I don't
That's the,
remember.
yeah, and I don't
I
know
mean, I-
that.
So you don't know how much you did
Well,
on
it's
your line
upstairs.
of credit?
Pardon me?
So you don't know how much.
Not
you
off the
did
top of my
on your
head, I do
line of
not
credit?
recall. I mean, I don't want
I
to lie
don't
to
have
you,
the
if I
number
had the
yet.
number, I'd tell it to you.
But I mean, just.
I mean, you don't
just
have
an
that.
No, I don't have that
estimate on the
number.
line of credit.
Pauline, I don't remember what the line of credit, what we took. The line of credit can go up to 1.8 million. We didn't take the full 1.8 million. I don't remember what we took for the line of credit. 1.3 sticks in my head, but I'm not saying that's accurate.
I don't know
That's
what was spent out
upstairs.
of last year's budget towards it.
I don't want to tell you the wrong number because that's what you're going to believe.
I understand, but I mean, I just thought you should have some idea.
I got lots of numbers in my head, but I don't have that one
I,
with me
I,
today.
I think I do have it. Hold on just a second.
Let me see.
Oh, no, that's that. Just a second. 1.2.
I was close.
Yep, 1.2 million. That's what's borrowed. That's your loan proceeds at the end of the year. Now, you may have borrowed some after the end of the year. That's all I have.
No.
I'm sorry, that's all I have through June 30th
No,
is
the one-
1.2 million.
Yep, the 1.2, and then they're working off the general fund. They took it all in one large chunk instead of at pieces at a time.
Okay,
So it's all in there, so we have 1.2 to pay off.
okay. So 1.2 million is what you have to pay off.
Is what we have to pay off.
Yep.
But that's not saying we'll use the full 1.2 either.
No, they've just, that's what's gotten deposited into the general fund as of right now.
Yes. And we might only need 800,000 of it. We haven't got the final bill yet,
Yeah.
so.
I don't know, with our fund balance budget, I mean, budgeted fund balance, I don't know,
And then we have like 5 years to
being
do
cut
this
by
on.
that
I think
much.
we have 20 years, if I remember right, 5 years at this interest rate, at the set interest rate. It's fixed interest for the first 5 years, and then I believe it's 3% over prime after that.
I think you're right. Sounds
And
right.
what was that fixed rate again?
I'm not gonna,
I don't remember.
3.75 sticks in my head.
I have a
was-
note, I've got to get that agreement. I don't have it with me, so I don't know what that is.
I mean, these are all numbers upstairs, if you want the numbers. 3.75 sticks in my head, but I could be off.
I was thinking it was lower than that, but I'm not gonna say for sure.
So, to 240,000 a year, if you know, plus interest. I mean, that's not, if you paid it over 5 years, and you end up using
I
the
mean,
whole.
we can always pay more if we need to. I
Right,
mean,
but if you
with-
had the whole 1.2 million,
But you might have 400,000 of it goes right back into them that we never used.
right, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, right, you don't, I'm just saying if you had the whole, if you did end up borrowing the whole 1.2 million. So that's, you know,
Which I'm sure we're going to pay a large chunk of it this year also. I don't want to take the full dollar amount away.
right.
I know Jody has 200,000 budgeted in his line item as well. That wasn't earmarked for anything but emergency.
Yeah, 1.3 million, but I don't know if that's part of the payback. I mean, I don't,
In Jody's budget,
well, yeah, let me get to
Capital
Jody's.
projects.
Well, capital projects in general fund has 0 expenditures. General services for the county has 321,000 in it. Yeah, you have nothing budgeted in general basic for capital projects right now,
Okay.
so. But you're gonna have to do a budget amendment anyway, so, I mean, whatever it is, that'll be what it is, so.
Yep.
Okay,
Gosh, I hate the thought of budget amendments too this year because that just takes up away from fund balance. at the
We
end
got to
of the
do one
year.
anyway for secondary roads.
I know, they're expensive.
Thing is, you just want to do one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty hard. It's pretty hard to do an early one and not still end up doing a later one. There's just too many things that happen by the end of the year. I mean,
But we're already in that game with roads.
right. No, I understand. I'm just saying it's just typically pretty hard to do one, November, December. It should not end up still having to do
Yeah.
one in May.
Right.
There's just too many odds and end things that can happen, and yeah. So,
Actually, I don't remember like a May that we haven't done one.
yeah.
We can amend for this 500,000, is that right? Carryover? The jail revenue carryover
To spend it.
above? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we can amend from that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, what was it? It was only 50,000 in rural services.
Yeah.
But
You can. It's just that keep in mind that.
it hurts to carry over for the following year.
Yeah.
Right, and you've already, in fiscal 2020, have budgeted a $2 million usage of your carryover. So, I mean, you're gonna be knocking it down. If you knocked it down another 500,000, you're gonna be. That's a lot.
I know.
Yeah,
But I'm reaching for money.
I know you are. It's just-
What's available, what isn't.
yeah,
Not saying we'll use any of it. but
right, right. So, it's just, yeah. Like I said, you just have to make the best decision you can with the information you have now.
Yep.
So. Okay.
All right. You have anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
Neither do I.
Close it.
Yep.
You want a motion to close?
Probably be cleanest.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.